Perfect.
All right, I'm trying to enter this thing. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Can you see me on the, you can't see me on your screen yet? There we go.
No. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, now you can. So you can see me there?
It's loading. Yep, I see you now.
Perfect. So I have a green screen behind me. This isn't a brick wall. But I do a lot of online training and stuff, so I use this a lot. But so what do you do for the firm, Mario?
I am an associate attorney here.
Gotcha. How long have you been with them?
About 2 months.
Okay. And looks like they tasked the new guy, the new young guy, of course, with figuring out digital marketing, right?
Yeah, we're basically looking to grow our firm. Yeah, so I'm just going around looking for different strategies and putting together a proposal on those strategies. And so I stumbled across your website, and yours was one of the better looking ones that I decided to, get more information from.
Perfect, perfect. Well, so I do a pretty comprehensive analysis that I put together for you that I'm recording. I'll send you the video and all of that. Probably do more at this stage of working with a prospective customer and just about anybody you'll run into. But I had a question for you. So in your email, it said you do immigration and criminal defense are kind of your two focus areas. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you're based in, loosely kind of based in Alexandria, Virginia. Um, is that where, your target market there, and then spreading out from there? How far out from Alexandria do you go?
We go all the way down to Prince William County and all around Fairfax, Arlington, those general areas. We also do some immigration from Maryland and DC because, you don't need a specific bar entry to
Sure.
practice in those places for immigration. But yeah, that's our general scope right now.
What was that first area you said? You said something before Fairfax, like Princeton or something like that?
Prince William County.
Prince William. Okay, Prince William.
Yep.
County. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you here in a second. What about who built your website currently?
That would be my boss, Attorney Mogul. He's the one in charge of building the website.
Okay.
And
So
then I write articles to post on there.
okay. So you guys built the website internally? Okay. Seems like that website looks pretty good. Usually attorneys don't build their own websites, because it's a waste of their time.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
it looks doesn't look like as much of a do-it-yourself website as someone else might. You also took a different anyway. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. And I know I was going to ask, have you had someone doing SEO historically?
Well, I mean, he also does like the SEO stuff, but I make sure that I have, the key phrases and everything in all of my articles.
So you guys are doing the SEO stuff in-house?
Yes.
Gotcha. How are you? What do you know what you're doing to acquire links?
What do you mean by acquire links?
Getting other websites to link to your website.
Oh, well, I think we just do Google AdWords and Bing.
Okay. Just doing Google AdWords.
And then we own a few other domains that auto link to our website.
Gotcha. And you can't see my my screen share yet, right?
Yeah, I still see you.
Still see me. Okay, I'm getting ready to share my screen. I just wanted to make sure and actually, let me. Okay, yep, I don't want that. Let me pull this up real quick here. Okay. Um, Perfect. Okay. And all right, I just kind of wanted to show you um, kind of what we'll go through here. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Oh, what do you guys know what you're spending? What's your approximate budget on AdWords and Bing? Is it like $1,000 a month, 5,000?
I believe it was $1,000 a month,
Okay.
but we weren't getting much out of it, so I think we recently stopped.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Um, and if okay, cool. All right. So this is you can see my screen now, right?
I can.
Okay, so whenever you're looking to develop, really what we're going to talk about today is search engine optimization and a little bit about a Google AdWords strategy. But when you look at that strategy development, the first thing we look at is keyword research. So what are the target keywords? How are people searching for the services that you guys offer? Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So I did a preliminary keyword research on that. If we were to engage or you were to engage with one of my preferred vendors, we would do a much deeper, more extensive keyword research. We did a little bit of that. A website audit, looking at there are two things that affect how you rank in this for the search engines. The first thing is
Hmm.
what is how are you doing from an on-site SEO perspective? You know, it's technical SEO, it's user experience, site speed, all those things. We'll review that. And then from an off-site perspective, this is really oftentimes the differentiator from a competitive perspective, because you have 100% control of your on-site. You're always going to make your website the best you possibly can, put your best foot forward. Offsite
Right.
SEO is everything that happens off of your site that affects your rankings. And the top factors for the number one factor for impacting your rankings are the quantity and quality of links to your website. So if you think about it, Google, if they're trying to decide what website to rank at the top for a term like
Hmm.
immigration lawyer in Alexandria, Virginia, for example, they're going to look on your website and say, okay, well, what's the quality and quantity of content on the site? How fresh is the site? Are they adding content to the site regularly? Certainly site speed, user experience. User experience is becoming a big thing. So that has to do with still with content, but also with site speed, bounce rates, time people spend on your site, those types of things. And you always want to put your best foot forward. You're 100% in control of that. That's the cheapest and easiest thing to fix potentially, so you want to work on that. So Google looks at it and says, okay, both these sites look very, very relevant. Which one do we prioritize? And assuming that from an on-site perspective, you're equal, which you never are because there's so many factors, but let's say you were equal with someone in the
Hmm.
quality of your website from all those, dozens, if not hundreds of factors. Then they look off of your site. So the number one thing they're looking for off your site is the quantity and quality of websites that are linking to your website. And think about that as, in the real world, if you wanted more clients, you would want as many people out there saying good things about you, referring people to you, right?
Right.
And so that's what Google's looking for on site or off your site. So when they look for those things, I'll just kind of show you. I'm going to pull up here. One of the tools we use to measure off-site SEO is called website authority. And it was first established, arguably by Google. They have a website authority that they called PageRank, which was on a scale of 0 to 10. We can't really use that anymore because it doesn't update very often. But
Hmm.
Moz, have you heard of the company Moz?
I have not.
So they're one of the oldest kind of research and SEO tools online, and they came up with a thing called a domain authority. And so Moz has domain authority. I also use Ahrefs version, which is domain rating, and it's basically looking at the potential power of your website based on the quantity and quality of links going to your website. And then from a scale of 0 to 100, a higher score means you have a better quantity and quality of links potentially than your competitors. A lower score would mean worse. And it's relative to your competitors because if you're competing nationwide for mesothelioma, that's going to be a much more competitive. You're going to need a higher domain authority, a higher domain rating to compete for that than you would for, say, a business lawyer in Alexandria, Virginia,
Right.
or an immigration lawyer in Alexandria, Virginia.
Right.
So we look at that as one of the things that I'll look at today. And when I talk about off-site SEO, these are the things I'm looking at, are things like, certainly press releases, they don't necessarily help you rank your website, but if Google sees that you're on the Wall Street Journal, that you're in the press, that you've got some PR going for your firm, that can indirectly help your rankings because they see, that there's some buzz about your law firm. The other thing is like guest blogging. So if there are blogs or articles written about your industry, immigration law, criminal defense, DUI, or whatever, and those articles link to your website, those can help boost, depending on the quality of those websites, that helps boost your domain rating, boost your authority in the eyes of the search engines. And then
so really quickly, I just have a quick question. So all of this, does it go towards like the ranking and everything you're talking about? Does it go towards organic,
yes,
organic growth, or is this part of the Google AdWords, promotional stuff?
No, good question. More specifically, I was talking about search engine optimization. This has to do with your organic rankings more so
Okay.
than affects your paid ranking. It really doesn't have arguably any impact on your paid rankings at all.
Okay.
From an off-site SEO perspective, on-site SEO or on-site user experience, to be more specific, user experience relevancy definitely can impact your Google AdWords, because if Google deems your website more relevant, has better user experience, lower bounce rates, more time on site, higher conversion rates, those types of things, Google will lower your cost per click with a better quality score. So certainly the on-site SEO can impact, on-site user experience, to be specific, can impact your results in Google Ads. And so what that can mean is you might pay, if you do a good job with on-site user experience specifically, specific to your keywords, right? So if you have a page that seems really relevant for immigration, but that's the page you're driving people to when they search for a DOI lawyer, that's not going to, or if you send them to your homepage, that's not going to be very helpful. But when you do a good job on the landing page, Google will lower the cost per click that you pay by 60, 70, 80, even 90%. So that if you don't do a good job with that, it means you're paying too much and it may never be profitable, right? So you do a good job. But the offsite SEO, all these factors, less so social media. So being present on social media is something you definitely want to do, but social media efforts don't directly impact your rankings as much as people would like to think they do. It's one of the, while it's in the top 10 factors, it's in the 8, 9, or 10 at the bottom of the list of the top 10 kind of SEO factors. The way we use social media to help with our SEO is all that content you're creating on the site. Anytime you have activities that the firm does, whether it's PR on a website or whatever, you want to share that stuff socially, because those social signals can help indirectly, but they don't have an impact on your domain authority, the power of your website overall. So it's the things that impact your domain authority the most are, first of all, doing what most of your competitors do, which you guys have done. You're on Avvo, you're on FindLaw, right? You're maybe lawyers.com, Martindale. You're on those legal sites, Super Lawyers, getting as many of those legal sites as you can. The problem is your competitors also get those. So then how do you differentiate yourself? And one of the ways that you differentiate yourself is you go out and you find blogs and websites that are high quality and will link back to yours. And you can do that with infographics, which can help for diversity. And then there's also local SEO. So we're going to talk about that. So basically what I did in my presentation that we're going to go through is I did a little bit, what I call a preliminary analysis of, which is going back to this, on-site audit, off-site audit, and then more important, how do you compare to your competitors? So that's what I put together for you. I didn't put it in a PowerPoint today, but I did put it in a, is there some notes I'm going to take? It's going to be in this video that I'll send over to you.
Okay.
But so looking at your website, looks like you built it on WordPress, which is great. It's a very easy to optimize website. When I looked at, this is a tool called SpyFu. So these third-party tools I'm using to analyze aren't going to give me as much insight as I can get once I have access to your site and Google Search Console and Google Analytics and your Google My Business page. We get a little bit deeper on this stuff, but these third-party tools are great for general analysis and comparing you to your competitors. And I haven't found one tool out there that you can just plug everything into and then it spits out the right answer. That's like have you ever had an MRI done?
Well, I haven't personally, but I get, yeah.
Yeah, you look at the MRI, and without the doctor's interpretation, you don't even know what you should be looking at, right? So, so they look at it and say, "Oh, look see, this is showing this," and you would have no idea. It's not quite that complicated, but so here, this shows me your organic traffic over time, and it does look like you had a peak last year of, or maybe looks like you peaked a number of years ago, but for whatever reason, over the last 6 months, you've kind of gone down in your rankings a bit, which makes sense. I brought on an attorney client just a couple weeks ago that had done his own SEO for years, started noticing things had slipped, and it was just because he really couldn't keep up with the competitiveness anymore and the technical side of things. So that's common. This tool will also tell me at a glance how you're ranking for certain terms. So I plug in your URL and it looks across the web for keywords that your website's ranking for currently. So for right now, nationwide, nationwide, you've got your rank, for I-539 form instructions, you rank best for a lot of these terms that are kind of national, general. They're not necessarily looking for a lawyer, right?
Right.
I can do some filtering. So if I look for how you rank when people are looking for a lawyer, like criminal lawyer, immigration lawyer, you're down on the third or fourth page of Google, position 32, right? If I look for attorney, same thing. You're on the third page, fourth, fifth page of Google. And that's usually what I look for when I'm looking. My attorneys have the most success or when they rank for keywords that have their service plus the word attorney or lawyer or law firm. So if someone's looking for, criminal law in Fairfax or Alexandria, that's less of a buying signal, if you will, than if they're looking for a criminal defense lawyer in, Alexandria, Virginia, right?
Right.
And then like these terms here, like, it's great that you rank for I-539 form because that could lead to business for you, right? Someone could find that form, find it on your website, and then go, hey, these guys explore your website, and that could lead to business, but it's not going to convert as highly as if someone looks for, Alexandria immigration law firm, you come up at the top 3 and they go to your website because they're in buying at that point, right? So the good news I see here is that you do have some ranking. So it's not like you're starting from scratch, right? But the bad news is, I guess what I see is that you're not really ranking in what I call a lead generating position for lead generation related search terms. Now, this is a third-party tool. If we were to look at, say, Google Search Console, if I got access to Google Search Console, we would probably find there are some terms for which you are ranking in the top 3, but they're probably lower volume terms that are a little more niche.
Right.
And if you were going to go into an SEO strategy, you would want to explore those opportunities and look for low-hanging fruit. For example, we might find, oh wow, you're ranking on the second page or the bottom of the first page for immigration lawyer Fairfax, but that term doesn't show up in these tools because it has like kind of low search volume. And
Mhm.
but by making it a short-term goal to push that one up to the top, while you're trying to push up the more competitive terms up to the top, you can start to get leads earlier that way. So you look for those low-hanging fruit opportunities, and whoever
Right.
develops an SEO strategy for you should have a short-term goal of making sure we help you rank for these niche terms, and then a
Mhm.
long-term goal of maybe helping you dominate for DUI lawyer Alexandria, right? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
If that was a term that you were going after. So I looked at that, and I looked at immigration. And so for immigration, here's an example. So for immigration lawyer Fairfax, Virginia, you're ranked on
Mhm.
the 5th page. Um, and so that's where immigration attorney Springfield, there's a couple terms that you're ranking for that might be short-term goals to improve upon. The other thing I wanted to say about this one is notice how it gives us the cost per click.
Yeah,
So
I do see that.
yeah, so on that term, where we start to assess SEO AdWords opportunities, just kind of a quick formula I use for that. Um,
Mhm.
so let's say that's $7 a click, right?
Mhm.
Um, if you're able to convert 10% of those clicks to leads, either a phone call or a form submission, that would be $70 a lead. Does that make sense?
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and 10% is typically what my clients get, 10% or higher.
Mhm.
Most do-it-yourselfers with AdWords or poor AdWords get 3% or lower conversion. And so when you're getting 3% or lower, then you're spending over $200, right? Because $7 a
Yeah.
click, 3% conversion is $210 per just for a lead. Um,
Right.
and then typically my attorneys will convert between 10 and 20% of those Google AdWords leads to clients. And so your cost per acquisition, if you're getting a 10% for $7, becomes $700 cost per acquisition, right? So $7, 10% convert to leads. That makes $70. 10%
Mhm.
of those leads convert to clients would be $700 cost per acquisition. If we're able to get 20% of those leads to convert to clients, then it drops it to $350 cost per acquisition. So, but
Yeah.
if you're doing a bad job of AdWords, and
Mhm.
which is typically what people do, your cost per lead goes to $210. And they're probably not as good at leads as you would have gotten if you're doing a better job. So maybe you only close 5% of those, right? And now
Right.
your cost per acquisition has gone to over $4,000. So there might be an opportunity, there probably is an opportunity to profitably drive um, leads to your law firm immediately with Google AdWords, but you're probably going to want to have a professional do it because it's just your market's so competitive. If you don't,
Right.
you're never going to get high enough conversion rates to justify the spend. And
Right.
we're talking a best case scenario of, you know, getting new clients for $300 to $800. That's still not cheap, right? So, it's profitable, but it's not like you're just making money hand over fist for no work, right?
Right.
So, and your clients a new client for you probably spends a couple $1,000 maybe on average. It can be
Yeah.
higher.
Right.
Um, but if your cost per acquisition is $2, 3, $4,000, that could start to get tough. So anyway, so that's kind of the when I do this preliminary analysis, that's kind of how I address paid search. Is I think you should consider paid
That's
search.
that's
But
really interesting though. Yeah. I'm thankful for you showing me this because like I had no perspective on this before. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
no worries. And there are tools with my attorneys we implement. So we
Mhm.
know which keyword from Google AdWords drives a call.
Mhm.
We can know which keyword drove a call, which keyword drove
Right.
form submission. And so that allows you to optimize it really well over time, but you have to implement those tracking tools. So,
Right.
anyway, so that's my thought. I think AdWords could be a good solution for you. You're just going to want to have a professional do it. The other
Right.
thing, so then I look at some on-site stuff, and this, when you go into when you go into Google search and you type in site : and then your domain name, it tells me how many pages approximately that Google has indexed for your site. About 177 pages, which, normally once a website gets over 50, 100 pages, that's good. It shows me you're going to be competitive. If you only had 10 pages, then I would worry. There's another tool I can use where I can say, if you go here to tools in the Chrome browser, and you can say, okay, how much content have they added since January, this year, for example. And I can see that you've added about 4 pages. You've had a few blogs on the site, so you're doing maybe between 1 and 2 a month, which is good. What's funny about that, I think that is a good amount to help with SEO. It shows Google you're active, and from a freshness signal, that's fine. It may not bring a ton more traffic. I'll show you. These are my personal injury lawyers out of Los Angeles, a client, and you can see they've got, over this year, they've already produced probably dozens or hundreds of pages.
Jeez, yeah.
I know. And this is like the opposite end of the spectrum, but keep in mind their personal injury for California, which is one of the most competitive markets for SEO that there is. So they have a very aggressive content strategy where and some of these are just pages that were updated where we changed the URLs, but a lot of these we hired a content writer that they look at local accidents that happen, and they just write blogs about them and the legal ramifications. And when we do that a ton, they're doing 2 to 4 blog posts a day. They're starting to see clients come out of it, but it takes just a ton to do. And plus they're doing all this other, where we're ranking at the top for auto accident attorney, Los Angeles, right? But these guys spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month. I don't tell you exactly how much, but well into the 5 figures a month, even into the 6 figures a month on digital marketing in general. So that's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm not sure that would be a good strategy for you, but that's
that's it's a little above our budget.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it may not have a payoff. The one thing I did see that was good is when I looked for you by name, you are popping up here. I call it branded search. So foundationally, your SEO is good. Some law firms, believe it or not, this part's so bad that they don't even pop up for their name. They might be 5 or 6 down here. But so you've got that going for you. The other thing I look at is site speed, and your desktop site speed is pretty good. You look for a 65 or higher, but more and more mobile site speed, it can be improved.
Oh, geez.
So it's a little bit low, and this is common. So it's not 46 is definitely kind of on the lower end, but there are some opportunities to improve site speed. That's one thing I look at. Obviously, with mobile, a lot of the times half your visitors are going to be mobile visitors.
I feel like it's only going to get more and more mobile over time.
It is, and especially when people move to people will have a phone before they have a computer, right? That has Google, then they have their own computer. Especially younger people, maybe, and immigrants. Come over. The first thing they do is they get a smartphone. There does seem to be some duplicate content. So this tool crawls your whole site, and there might be, without deeper analysis, there might be you might have too high duplicate content on your site, meaning some pages are closer to the other. It's more of a general comment, not a I'm not sure. Usually I see this number more in the 12% range. So 27% getting high up there. So it might mean that there's some on-site work that needs to be done. Just make sure the content's unique and part of the strategy. When I compared your website to other websites, like specifically your immigration page,
Mhm.
you don't have there's 10% of this page, it's mostly your lawyer profiles or something like this is on nolo.com. This is on another website that whoever wrote this content, you just have you don't really have any duplicate content issues with other sites, I don't think, at least not with the immigration page. Now, what I can say
Right.
is from an on-site perspective as well, let me go back here. Your URLs could probably be better. And what I mean by that is I would rather that this immigration page here, that it is immigration dash lawyer dash Alexandria, for example. We would want to have a page that more targets Alexandria and has that URL targeting Alexandria.
Right.
And fixing that URL doesn't magically push your website up to the top, but what it does is it's another signal for Google. And anytime someone links to your website via that URL, so you go to another
Mhm.
website and it's got McGullaghlawfirm.com/immigration, and it's got those words on there, that URL, and someone clicks on that and then goes to your website, then that
Mhm.
signals Google what you're relevant for. And so when you put the lawyer and immigration lawyer Alexandria on there, it indicates to Google, it's another indicator to Google that you should be considered relevant. And in fact, if I look for a immigration lawyer in Alexandria, Virginia, show you what I mean here. We're going to ignore this for a second, but you can see most of these websites ranking have the words immigration lawyer in that URL.
Yeah, and that one has Alexandria in it as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these guys have it in the domain, right? Alexandria Law Services.
Mhm.
So here's a good example. 3bstrated.com, immigration-lawyers-in-Alexandria. So that still is an effective way to rank locally, and it has to do with on-site and off-site, right? So
Right.
the good news, what I'm seeing here is we want to find stuff that's wrong with your site, because that means we can make improvements and that'll help improve your rankings, right? So
Right.
just in this preliminary thing, I've definitely seen some opportunity there. I'm going to skip ahead. This is we're going to move a little bit to off-site SEO.
Mhm.
And the first thing I'm going to look at is your local. So this is telling me for the search term immigration lawyer Fairfax, Virginia, the factors that help you rank in the local pack. And so here's your law firm, and you're not in the top 10 in the local. And so we look for some reasons why here. We have an anomaly here, which is Valera and Associates. And I'm not sure what their URL is. But in fact, let me do that real quick. Sometimes if they have a really keyword-rich URL, it'll help them rank for that one. But valerialaw.com. So you oftentimes see an anomaly. In general, though, you see that most of your competitors here have a lot more citations than you do,
Yeah.
which is a number of directories. And in general, you see they have higher quality citations than you, except for these guys at the top. Again, that's an anomaly. I could dig into why they're ranking better.
Mhm.
I'll tell you right now, one thing that I do for my clients is when we go out and get links, a lot of the times what we do is we mask those from other tools so our competitors can't find out what we're doing. So it could be
I
something
see.
like that. It could be a
Yeah.
redirect, any number of reasons, because by
Right.
looking at this tool, well, you're kicking their butt, right? These guys rank number
Right.
one, they're doing worse than everyone else. So you can't look at that anomaly. You got to look at what generally, what are people doing better than us? Where can we make improvements? And some of them are
Yeah.
in the areas of getting more websites linked, better quality websites linked. This tells me you have a pretty low quality. Your reviews look pretty good and your ratings look really good. and the number of photos look really good. So those kind of basic things look pretty good. Did you sign the business up? It looks like someone signed them up for Yext, which is a power listings company.
Yext.
Yext. It's you could have done this through Yahoo Business. A lot of times you'll sign up for this service. Yeah,
I'm sure the other attorney probably did.
Yeah, and a lot of people resell Yext, and you don't realize you're getting Yext, but yeah, that could be a good one. And then Moz Local, this is a tool that's only $100 a year, and it gets your site.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, and it gets your site listed on these aggregators, and it looks like I would sign up. I'd recommend signing up for Moz Local, and integrating it with your Google My Business page. I always recommend that law firms do that because it's an easy way to and cost-effective way to get more and more directory listings over time. And so that's a good one. You already signed up for Yext. What Yext does is it instantly gives you about 70 directory listings, and you can see this tool didn't pull up all of them, but between these two, I find they can be a good way to do it. But anyway, so from a if we look at the some gaps here, I'm going to go to offsite SEO. So what I did is this is your website. This is the Moz tool I was talking about, and the Moz tool shows me. I compare you to Valero, Hens Pachuta, to Mam C. Vicker, and Scott Immigration Law. Do any of those sound familiar to you?
No.
Okay.
No, they don't.
So if I Google immigration lawyer Fairfax, Virginia, these are the guys that show up at the top. It's Valero, Henson, and then if you go down here and get past these directories, which, by the way, I will say, having a prominent position on this Yelp result, I've seen have very good, can be a good lead generator. Anytime I see Yelp ranking right below the map pack, then you can see Valera's organically on here, but you can also pay to get to the top. This could be an effective way,
of course,
to get there. So I don't like Yelp. I'm not a fan of them as a company. Working with them can be difficult. I don't think they're 100% ethical.
They're a mafia. I'm aware. Yeah.
Yep. Having said that, they could be a benefit for you because a lot of consumers trust Yelp, even if the business owners hate them, right?
Yeah.
And
that's true.
So being listed prominently here, I've seen generate quite a bit of business for attorneys. With my clients even. So that when I see that Yelp so prominently displayed, I would want to do an ROI. Like if they said, hey, we want $1,000 a month to be there, and it's not a pay-per-click, but it's just to be there, it's $1,000 a month, I'd be skeptical. But
right.
I would do a cost assessment with them. Certainly, you could say the same about Justia. That doesn't have as much brand recognition with lay people, but you certainly could look into those opportunities as well. But I can tell you, anytime I see a bunch of directories in the search results, that tells me that the keywords aren't that competitive and that you can compete. Even though these guys have really high domain authorities, Google would rather bring back a local site than a directory, because otherwise all Google results would be directories, because they all have the highest domain authorities. They have tons of links. They have tons of content. So that's why you don't just see directories in competitive searches, because the individual websites are investing time and effort into ranking, so they usually outrank the directories. So this tells me that may not be as competitive as as it looks based on this. So it might be easier than if there weren't directories there. It's kind of my point. So when we look at the offsite factors, you've got domain authority perspective. Again, these guys are an anomaly, but you are somewhat competitive You know, it's not like you have an 8 and everyone else has a 20. You've got an 18. These guys have a 17, a 20.
Right.
Down here for some linking domains. It looks like you guys are doing something to get links because you are competitive in the number of websites that are linked to your site.
Right.
But there seems to be some kind of issue with the quality of those because it's
Right.
not raising up your authority as much as I would expect it to. And your page authority, again, is pretty competitive, but you're second from the bottom here. So that tells me that there could, there's definitely room for improvement. When I look at comparing you, this is another tool called Ahrefs that does a similar thing to Moz. They have their own 0 to 100, but they are much pickier about giving a high score on what they call their domain rating. So they've got you guys with a 0 and these guys with a 1, a 1, a 2, a 3.
That's harsh.
Yeah, it is. And for a second, I thought there might be something wrong with the tool. So I put in one of my clients just to make sure. And they've got a 38 domain rating, and they've got and this is a plumber in Australia that I do work for.
Yeah.
And they've got a URL rating of 28. You can see we've just been doing this. This is the link velocity over the last year. We just do tons of link building for them as well as on-site stuff. But so that tells me that two things. This isn't very competitive, and we could probably get some fairly quick results in Alexandria for immigration. Criminal defense oftentimes is more competitive. I'll show you what I mean here. If I look at a criminal defense lawyer, you see much higher domain website authorities. You see 31, right? 22. Some of these are lower, but even that might not be insurmountable for you guys. Definitely a lot more citations, higher quality citations, quality of links are higher. This tells me about the quality. But I think immigration could be a quick win for you with some adjustment to on-site and an adequate off-site content. I call it content distribution for link acquisition, and that's what good SEO companies are good at is providing that service where they find websites and they get the site to link to yours in a strategic way. So then, just a few comparisons there. Again, the quantity of links that you're getting looks competitive, but the quality just seems to be low because your domain rating is so low. That would indicate that an SEO company is going to dig deeper into this once you become a client to develop a very specific strategy. This here shows me how all these websites are linking to yours. Meaning, what is the text on this other website that is linking to your website? These are the texts that I see, and most of them look natural, like call for a free consultation today. What this means is when I go to this website, when I go to a website, it has this content linked to yours. And in this case, it's the URL. And it looks like what's good about this is this all looks very natural. Looks like there was no intention, but there could be. There's definitely opportunity to get more links. The other thing I'm seeing here is this blog you wrote. See how it says immigration-lawyers-Springfield-Virginia?
Yeah.
Or I don't know who wrote it. It's from December. 2017. This is it looks like this. I'll bet this is redirected. I wonder, because it was a blog at one point. It might be redirected to your immigration page or, So you have this page here. This is a good example. You've got this blog post that's competing with your immigration page. So what I might do, this is a really good URL for your immigration page. So we might figure out a way to redirect this page to your immigration page, change the URL to immigration, or make sure this page is linked to your immigration page. But there's some ways to make sure this page doesn't compete and actually helps your immigration page rank better. But anyway, so just getting a little bit in the weeds here, but generally speaking, it looks like there, here's a list of links that you have that are follow links. You've got the Avos, got American Towns, which is another kind of, this is interesting, plumbing contractors. Not a very, not a very relevant link, but it's,
Yeah, interesting. It's
yeah,
interesting.
where this is relevant is it's is a local page, right? And with a high domain rating. So this link is helping your rankings to a degree, because it's at least
Right.
telling Google you're relevant for um, uh, local, but certainly could do a better job. This is just a directory listing. So you have a lot of directory listings in here. But and a lot of these things that I see that this is a good link, but that would be the strategy that you'd have to implement, is having a solid link building strategy. The other thing, last thing, I think that's about it to show you. This was, like I said, oh, I will show you some examples of what my clients experience when they work with me. So this is a bankruptcy attorney in Philadelphia, and bankruptcy, the most competitive legal terms tend to be personal injury, DUI, family law, criminal defense, and bankruptcy. And on those last four, the reason they're so competitive is because when I'm looking for a DUI attorney, and thank God I've never had to hire one,
Right.
I'm hesitant to ask friends for a referral, right? Hey, post on Facebook, I got a DUI attorney. Anybody know a good DUI attorney, right? People don't do that. Same thing.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And same thing with divorce. I'm not going to announce to all my friends I'm thinking about getting a divorce, right? Usually people research that on the down low for months.
Right.
Same thing with bankruptcy, right? I'm not going to announce to all my friends, hey, I want to go bankrupt. So anybody know a good bankruptcy attorney? And with personal injury, it's more because it's something that happens so few times to people to hire a personal injury lawyer that they don't know who to ask. Like, I've never used one, right? So asking for a referral, unless you're some wealthy person who has a corporate attorney, you don't know how to get a referral for an attorney, right? So the bankruptcy tends to be very competitive. And so when you're hiring an SEO company, you want to make sure they can show you examples of success in markets at least as competitive as yours, and also know that they're not working for your competitors. So you wouldn't want to hire the company that is ranking Valera and Associates, because then they'd be competing. They'd be working for you and your competitors. It's like hiring the same attorney.
We call that a conflict of interest. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So this is one of my clients, and these are also good referrals, that you could talk to, but they rank really well. And then my personal injury lawyer in LA, they rank for a lot of terms. We just recently got them for car accident lawyer Los Angeles into the 3-pack for a local search. They're in the traditional organic. Yeah. And the traditional organic, they still have a ways to go. We're on the 5th page, but being in that 3-pack, they get a ton of calls.
Right. Well, local, if anything, should be more important, like, to that kind of firm.
It is.
Makes sense.
It does. The one thing I'll tell you is that when you rank both well in this traditional organic, essentially, below the, I was trying to see if I had an example search up here. Yeah, so when you rank up here, that's great. But when you also rank down here, then what that usually indicates is the further people get from where your office is, the more you'll maintain your rankings. So, so like if you look at these guys, they rank number 4 in the traditional organic, right below the maps, as well as number 2 in the maps. And so that means people way out in the burbs, if they look for a bankruptcy attorney in Philadelphia, these guys will maintain their rankings. Whereas someone who's just ranking in the maps, like that's what we're building for these guys, is that's why we're trying to push this up, because the further people get from LA, the less likely they are to rank when someone's searching for a car accident lawyers Los Angeles. So that's why they're both important. And and that's why I'm never satisfied with this result, if you will. You can also see
Yeah.
they're prominently placed in Yelp. That's what this is telling me. So Yelp is
Mhm.
right below the maps, and these guys rank number 1, number 2 in Yelp, and so they get quite a bit of business from that. So that by being ranked in the organic. So I just wanted to show you that's some examples of success that I've had, and why I think I could help you guys out. But that's my analysis. What I would say from a budgetary perspective, because that's usually a question people have, right?
Yes.
Um, what I'm seeing from coast to coast. So because if you Google lawyer marketing expert, I come up number 1 nationwide. I have about 25 clients tend to be attorneys. So
Mhm.
from Philadelphia to Springfield, Illinois, to Jonesboro, Arkansas, to Harrisburg, PA, to California.
Mhm.
What I'm seeing is a minimum investment of $1,500 to $2,000 a month with a legitimate good SEO company is what it takes to move the needle on even some of your lower competitive terms,
Mhm.
which is about the minimum of what you might spend on Google AdWords as well, but you tend to get a better ROI with organic because more people click on the organic than they do on, like 8 times as much traffic on the organic as the paid. So
Right. I
um,
never click on the paid.
yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't know the difference, and then it takes up so much real estate on our phones that by the time you get
Yeah.
to the organic, so they do get some traffic, but but the bottom line is, uh, if you found a legitimate SEO company, which I'd be happy to, you guys, I would be happy to work with you guys um, uh, to do the SEO for you. Um,
Mhm.
you're going to be looking at, for me, it would be probably, at least 1,500, if not 2,000. And to a point, the more you spend, the faster and better results you'll get. But only to the point. If you said, Dan, here's $100,000, we want to rank number 1 next month, I couldn't do it. It would be a waste of your money. But
Right.
1,500, maybe, probably really realistically, you're looking at more like $2,000 a month. Um,
Mhm.
2,000 to, if it were me, I'd look at, okay, for $2,000 a month, the first thing we would do is focus on getting you ranked really well for DUI, criminal defense, immigration lawyer in Alexandria, so you dominate your micro local market. And then we would do that. And then once that happened, which could take 6 months to 12 months for all of those areas of practice,
Mhm.
then we may be able to move on to others. But the challenge with 2000, the less you spend, the fewer areas of practice you can target at a time, and the longer it'll take to rank there. So for $2,000 a month budget, we'd first probably focus on, let's get you dominating for immigration, since that seems to be, you're fairly well ranked for that. Um,
Mhm.
and maybe another area. We'd probably go for 2 areas of practice: immigration and criminal defense, or DUI, or domestic violence. Find an area of practice you wanted, 2 areas of practice that you want to target on initially. If you go up to $3,000 a month, you might be able to target 3 areas of practice, maybe 4 areas of practice. And that's not because we're just pushing a magic button. That what we would do is we would be generating content, finding websites that we can get, quality websites that we vet out, that we can get quality links from, um, and and uh, um, uh, and drive those links to your website to push up the domain authority while fixing and improving the on-site stuff. Some of the stuff we talked about today, but that's about it from a budgetary perspective. The problem I have is, if you spent, say, less than 2,000, you said, hey, we only have $1,000 a month for SEO. Um, you could do some SEO for that, but it's almost like uh, uh, spending money to build a 50-foot bridge when you've got a 200-foot body of water to get across. You're probably better off keeping your money, right, than
Right.
wasting it. Um, uh, and so for like a maintenance SEO, I do have a service. A lot of companies offer this. I don't have a client that I'm doing this for right now, but there's like a $300 a month maintenance SEO, if you will, that probably is just slightly better than what you're doing now on your own. Adds a
Mhm.
bit more to that, but that might help you rank for some long tail terms. You might start to see, over time, some business from that, but it's not going to help you dominate your market for your most competitive keywords. So that's kind of what I look for. I will say this. So how I work, any questions about any of that before I just kind of wrap up?
No, it's fine. I'd like you to kind of continue your pitch. I mean, I get what you are saying.
Sure.
I guess I'm still understanding what services you would offer for that,
Right.
2000 a month. And so are you suggesting we would hand over the website to you completely and you guys would then take it over, make sure that the SEO is dominating in immigration and in, something else, maybe criminal or traffic.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me kind
and
of
then
go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's fine. You can answer. I mean, I'm just curious what services we would get for that 2000 a month.
Sure. So any good SEO company, what we're going to do in the first month is going to be 90% on-site SEO. So, um, uh, well, first of all, keyword research, in-depth keyword research, making sure you're connected to Google Search Console if you aren't already,
Mhm.
working with you strategically to understand, okay, these are our short-term opportunities, and these are our long-term opportunities, and developing that strategy. That would all be done in month one, as along with adjusting the on-site content to match that strategy, right? So if you decide,
Mhm.
hey, you know what, Fairfax immigration lawyer is a really good opportunity for us because we're already on the second page of Google, but we still want to go to
Mhm.
Alexandria immigration lawyer, then we
Mhm.
probably make sure you had two separate pages. Uh, one optimized for content around immigration and Alexandria, and the other one immigration and Fairfax. That on-site content still makes the biggest difference. It's harder to optimize a page for Alexandria if it's got all the content for Fairfax and vice versa, or if it's got content for both, it can be diluted. So the first month,
Right.
generally, it's about the same. So about that first month would be just doing the on-site stuff, um, fixing site speed. That would be something we'd want to do in the first month, is improve the site speed. All of those things, changing URLs, title tags, description tags, technical SEO, as well as content stuff. So once you have that established, then the only thing to do from an on-site perspective is really two things. One is continue to add content strategically to the website, which if you're adding the content, then what we would do is we would guide that strategy, come up with an editorial calendar. When content was posted, we would make sure it was optimized and linked to the internal pages that we needed to be linked to. But 90% of on-site is just done one time, and then after that it's adding on content, having a strategy for that, and then revisiting on-site SEO, say quarterly, to make sure you're keeping up with algorithm changes, which from an on-site perspective don't change a ton, right? It just
Mhm.
the always trying to look for ways to improve user experience. The majority of ongoing SEO should be content distribution for link acquisition. So it's getting 20 to 30 new citations every month. And in fact, in the first month, we probably, as part of initial kickoff, get 50 to 100 citations pointed to the site, because they're cheap and easy, and they only help, they don't hurt. Um, and setting you up for Moz Local, enhancing what you're doing on Yext already, that kind of thing. But the ongoing after that is really finding websites that uh, uh, what we would do is high quality websites that link back to your site. Now, this is where I'm different than any other SEO company in the land, if you will. Since I'm
Mhm.
more of a consultant, I built an agency and sold it about 3.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What my attorney clients do that work with me directly is they pay me a monthly retainer in the $600 a month range, and then all the rest of the money that that I that is spent on their SEO campaign goes directly to the activities that rank your website. And this is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do so much consulting and analysis, and I've analyzed dozens of the top SEO, legal SEO companies in the country, I see what they're all doing. And so when I look at an opportunity like yours, when I look at a law firm like yours, uh, it, it this seems like you'd be a good fit for this service, where you're paying me the retainer to make sure everything gets done, and then I use all the wholesale services that I see SEO companies using around the world. Most of them, the ones I use, are USA based and UK based, so it tends to
Mm-hmm.
be higher quality than the Philippines or India based, which some of them use. But I'll give you a perfect example. So writing really good content, getting on a high quality website that links back to your website via the
Mm-hmm.
terms that we want, that we can dictate because it's guaranteed placement, runs about $200 per link. And it's a quote unquote permanent link, which means it has about a 90% chance of still being live over a year.
Right.
Uh, uh, they those hard costs on the content getting it placed is about $200 on average. What I've found is SEO companies for that link will charge you anywhere from $600 to $1,200 for that one $200 link. And so if you spend $1,500 a month with that SEO company, or $2,000 a month with that SEO company, you're going to get between 2 and 4 links at the most from high quality websites. And this, I've just seen this time and time again. When you work with me, because I'm a consultant, I'm not building an agency, so I don't have to answer to gross profit and net profit. I just have to make sure I'm paid for my time. I pass through that cost to you. So for that, say $2,000, $1,400 a month, we'd be getting really about 5 to 10 links every month to your website that are high quality, high domain authority websites with the exact anchor text that we want. So typically for $2,000 a month, you get a much bigger bang for your buck working with me than you do with any other SEO company that does legal SEO. So that's why I see good results for my clients. Now, having said that, I do have a vendor that I use
Mm-hmm.
for my guys in California. I was doing the link building for my California firm for a while, but the truth is it was such a big website and they're going after so many markets that
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't really have the resources to help them dominate California. So I vetted
Mm-hmm.
out SEO companies for them from all over the world, literally. And the one we're using now is able to do things that I'm not able to do. And quite frankly, the only way you're going to be able to rank in California is by doing more than what I've even talked about here today. They do things like create new websites with unique content on powerful domains and link back to the site. And each one of those links can cost a couple $1,000s, but they're very powerful. And they do things like masking, hiding the links we're getting to their website from the competitors. So
Right.
California, for personal injury law, it's dog eat dog world. So those specialty, you almost have to do that stuff, right? So
Right.
so I will refer people to them sometimes because I found them to be the best SEO company out there right now. And when I refer people to them, they pay me a commission, and they're pretty price competitive with me, but they do everything internally. So they are, one reason I recommend them is what they do is different than what I do. They have an internal team building and looking for links for you day in, day out. And they're efficient enough at it to where that $2,000 a month budget, they could probably be competitive with that. Could be a good solution for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you took $2,000 and invested with any other SEO company in the country, whether it's Scorpion or FindLaw or um, uh, Paper Street or iLawyer Marketing, or even someone who's not as big a brand as that but does legal SEO, for $2,000 a month, you're probably not going to get much of anything to help you dominate your market. You're certainly not going to get as much as what I would be able to do for you. And my Australian plumber, for example, spends well over $5,000 a month on link building, but that all goes towards the link building. I only get about $1,500 a month for managing all of that for him. So he's getting about $12,000 to $20,000 worth of SEO for the $6,500 he's spending with me, because I don't have overhead and I'm not,
Right.
trying to build an agency. When I built and sold my agency, we had to have 65% growth profit margins, and at the end of the day, 25 to 30% net profit, which meant that for $2,000, we were only putting maybe $500 or $600 a month into the actual work that it took to rank a website. So that's kind of my pitch, if you will. But I really, in either case, whether if you went to the vendor that I'd refer you to, or you worked with me, which I think for this, I think working with me could be we'd have great results. Either one, I think you'd have great results. But I'm more a part of your team than I am just someone you're buying a service from.
Mm-hmm.
I have one full-time assistant that I guide to do all my link building strategies, but I still, for my clients, I look at the strategy every month. I make sure it's implemented the way, and I meet with my clients once a month to review the work that's done and the results. So that tends to be, I enjoy that better than building a whole nother agency where I've got a dozen employees and all that stuff. It works better for me. And so my clients are more, it's more like we're on the same team than they're hiring somebody that they don't trust every month. Right.
Yeah.
So, and everything's very transparent. So you get to see. About half my clients pay these vendors directly. They don't even go through my company. I set them up with a direct relationship, and they pay the link building vendor that we're using directly, and I make sure that everything's guided with my strategies that work for my clients. And the other thing that I do is quarterly, I have my assistant go through a process that I've trained him on for analyzing hundreds of websites that rank in the US for the most competitive to less competitive terms, so that we're constantly adjusting our efforts based on best practices that we're seeing, not that we're reading on an article somewhere where you read an article that says do this. I guarantee you, the only people I tell my secrets to are the people that pay me to train them. I don't write a blog post saying here's exactly what you need to do to rank a website, because I don't want my competitors to know what I know.
Right. That's fair. That's business.
Yeah, but that strategy that I use, you will see as a client that, hey, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. But I just don't publish all that stuff online. But anyway, so sorry, I was a bit long-winded there. I'm trying to see what my next meeting is. I think I'm double check that I'm not late for a meeting. Nope, I don't have a meeting for 45 minutes. But what would you like me to do next with this? I know you're looking at a couple different things.
Yeah. So, just so you know, I don't have direct authority to say yes, let's do it, let's not do it. I am just drafting a proposal for my boss, and then he's going to decide ultimately based on my recommendation and his own experience. Just so you know, though, I really appreciated this presentation, and I honestly think that this is, you have a leg up on your competitors, because a lot of the other SEO companies I've talked to, their prices are much higher, and they didn't even want to go in depth. They didn't even want to look at our website until we paid them at least like an audit fee. So the fact that you did all of this, already without asking for money, gives me faith that you really are someone who is like committed to helping rather than just trying to make a quick buck. And I want you to know I really appreciate that, and I really enjoyed your presentation, and you know, you've got my recommendation. I mean, compared to the other businesses, it's just like night and day.
No, well, thanks. You know, and I do hear that a lot. Even if you Google, you know, my agency, you see some of my reviews kind of go that direction. But yeah, and I've actually, what's funny is for my California firm, we hired another firm to do an audit, and because it's good to get other perspectives than just my own, right? And that's the great thing about the fact I do consulting, because I get all these perspectives. There's a company out of Canada pitching my California firm today. They say they have this great new strategy for SEO that they're seeing just set the world on fire. So because I'm the consultant, they have to tell me what that is. And so I get to see, did they have something legitimate new I haven't heard about? Well, great. I can apply to my clients, or maybe they can only do it, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's really my goal. But we've hired them, and they usually charge $1,200 or more for those audits. And then they end up just giving them something that's less than what I gave you in many cases.
Right.
Or equal, but you didn't pay for it. And the problem is I do charge for that sometimes. But I have a hard time making recommendations without doing that. And so to me, it's still part of the pre-sales process, because if I don't understand that, you know, now I do have large companies that come to me, and sometimes I'll charge them a lot more than that to do an audit. But because I do have two Fortune 500 companies that I do work for, that just, I'm a consultant, and I do the link building and that kind of thing. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's what you see out there. So yeah. And then, boy, I have a client in Harrisburg they merged with another firm that's using FindLaw, and they're spending like $10,000 a month, and thought they were getting SEO, but really all they're getting is directory listings from FindLaw that they're paying for, and they're paying the FindLaw consultant $3,000 a month to tell them what to do, and they're getting no actual SEO. And we uncovered that about a month ago. I uncovered that for them, and they're pretty upset about it, because I got on a conference call with FindLaw, and I said, well, you guys aren't doing anything to help rank their website, correct? And they said, well, you're right, we're not. We're just making recommendations. And the attorney's head about exploded, because if I had to ask very specific questions, and they weren't going to lie to me. But when it's an attorney asking them questions, they know how to kind of BS their way through it, right? So anyway, but yeah, so I appreciate the feedback. Yeah, happy to help. And talk to your, you know, I'm happy. I gave you some general numbers. I'd be happy to meet with your partner, you know,
he's technically the senior attorney.
the senior attorney. Yeah. I'd be happy to meet with them to walk through the proposal and go through it in a brief example, you know, briefly show.
Well, I can just show him this video, right? You're sending me this video?
Yeah, I am. I'll shoot it to you here in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll give that to him as I'm giving him the proposal, if you don't mind.
Sure, no worries.
Because I mean, he used to be you know, a network engineer, so I'm sure he's going to understand a lot more of this as well.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, no, I really appreciate it, and like I said, you have my recommendation as far as the list of companies that I've looked at.
Okay. If you want, then what I would do, I'll send this video to you, Mario. I don't want to take it too much of the time. And then when you have an idea about, you know, because he could say, there's no way I'm spending $2,000 a month or anything, right? And if you want, I'll get you a proposal. If you come back to me and say, you know, we are willing to spend, we'd like to know what we'd get for $2,000 a month versus $4,000, or we would like a specific proposal for, you know, what you would charge for AdWords and all of that. I'd be happy to shoot that over to you. Okay. But just give me some confirmation that you guys are thinking about spending some money at least, and then okay. And then I'll give you a specific proposal so you can see it all in writing. Does that sound good?
Okay, yeah, yeah, and I'll see what the budget looks like and how much we'd be willing to put into this, even if, even if I say 2,000 and 2,000 seems like a lot right now, I'll at least give you a timeline of when we can possibly go forward, or what our budget would look like if we
Sure.
were to go forward tomorrow, kind of thing. So
Okay.
I'll reach back out to you.
Okay.
Once again, I really do appreciate this.
Yeah, no worries, Mario. Happy to help, and hopefully we'll be talking soon.
Yep.
All right.
Have a
You
great
take
day.
care. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.